Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're doing something a little bit different this time around. We're completely stripping away all those flashy illusions. The designer brands, the private jets, and those luxury cars you constantly see plastered all over social media. Instead, we're looking at raw data. We asked an advanced AI to strip away the noise and answer one incredibly probing question to reveal how financially successful people actually operate in the real world. We really want to get to the bottom of the actual mindset driving their financial decisions, not just regurgitate those superficial myths. Okay, let's dive into this. The central question that sparked this entire journey is actually super simple. How do millionaires really think? And to be clear, we definitely aren't looking for those generic, cheesy motivational quotes you just scroll past every day. We're digging into the underlying psychology. What is literally going on in their heads when they look at their bank accounts, assess their investments, or even just make daily purchases? Well, the AI's immediate, striking response to that question was this. Money problems are often emotional problems disguised as financial problems. That is a massive light bulb moment, right? It instantly debunks the myth that the big secret to wealth is purely about being some sort of math genius or having an insider stock tip. It totally validates something I think we all feel deep down, that our emotions, way more often than our calculators, are the real culprits dictating our poorest financial choices. Section 1. Emotions over economics. When you really look closely at the psychology of spending, you start to see these common emotional triggers totally taking the wheel. We're talking about stress, sheer boredom, trying to impress other people, and of course, the classic fear of missing out, or FOMO. I want you to actually pause and audit your own life for a second here. How many of your recent purchases were really driven by these emotional triggers rather than cold, hard financial logic? Don't worry, we literally all do it, but recognizing it is absolutely the very first step to changing it. Now, financially successful people definitely aren't perfect, but they do have a brilliant mechanism to fight off those emotional triggers. They pause. Instead of impulsively asking, can I afford this? Which is honestly a super dangerous question because technically the answer is usually yes, they ask a totally different question. Is this the smartest use of my money? That single dramatic pause and that slight shift in perspective stops so many expensive, impulsive mistakes right in their tracks. Section 2. Earning versus building. This whole concept is all about shifting your mindset from simply earning to actively building. It's about letting your money actually do the heavy lifting for you. Look at this sequence. Step 1, work. Step 2, get paid. Step 3, repeat. This is the endless cycle most people are completely trapped in. It's the only way most of us know how to make money, relying entirely on trading our precious daily time for a paycheck. And the really hard truth here, if your time stops, the money completely stops. So the absolutely crucial pivot is this. You have to build systems that generate income independently of your time. Wealthy individuals don't just want to be high earners. They desperately want to avoid relying on a single source of income forever. Now, obviously, this doesn't happen overnight, but it involves actively building long-term assets, whether that's investing in the stock market, owning a piece of a business, or even creating digital products. The goal isn't necessarily to just stop working entirely. It's to decouple your income from your waking hours so you have actual freedom. Section 3. The Wealth Illusion. And that leads us to perhaps the most surprising AI insight of all. We live in a world that is constantly broadcasting the illusion of wealth. It's all luxury vacations and designer labels. But consider spending to impress versus investing to build. A lot of truly wealthy people don't spend their lives trying to prove to complete strangers that they have money. You've got the highly visible, flashy spender on one hand and the quiet, methodical builder on the other. And while the difference between these two isn't always super visible today, it becomes glaringly obvious years later. Real financial confidence comes from actual, rock-solid security, not from showing off. Which ties perfectly into our next core concept. Continuous learning equals adaptability in a changing world. For the financially successful, the learning absolutely does not stop the minute they graduate school. They never stop reading, listening to podcasts, and asking questions. And why? Because the world changes incredibly fast. New technologies pop up, markets shift, jobs evolve. Just having knowledge might not make you rich overnight, but keeping your mind sharp ensures you are constantly prepared to adapt and make much smarter financial decisions whenever the landscape shifts. Section 4. The Power of Habits. All right, now we're getting down to the absolute bedrock of all financial success. When the AI was asked what a person with very little money today should do first, it provided this simple yet incredibly profound quote: "Don't chase wealth, build the habits that create it." We constantly want the end result, don't we? We want the financial freedom, we want the massive investment portfolios, but we rarely want to adopt the boring daily routine, the patience, or the continuous skill building required to actually get there. Wealth is definitely not just one lucky moment. It's literally thousands of tiny, correct decisions. To make this a bit more concrete, let's introduce a sort of hero versus villain dynamic for your everyday financial choices. Think of two friends who earn the exact same income. One is the spender. They literally spend every single extra dollar they get. The other is the saver. They just save a small amount, they keep learning, and they make very thoughtful financial decisions. Now watch what happens when those habits compound on a timeline. After year one, the financial gap is barely noticeable. You honestly probably wouldn't even see a difference in how they live. But after 5 years, the gap becomes pretty obvious. And after 10 years, their lives look completely fundamentally different. And it's not because one friend was magically luckier, but purely because one built better daily habits that compounded beautifully over a decade. This reveals the absolute biggest misunderstanding about millionaires. People always think there is one single magical secret to wealth. There totally isn't. Instead, there are just these core foundational principles. You've got to think long-term, keep learning, avoid those emotional decisions, invest in yourself, live below your means, build multiple incomes, and protect your future instead of constantly chasing quick wins. Honestly, none of these ideas are super thrilling on their own, but when you combine them, they create an absolutely unshakable financial foundation. And this brilliantly illustrates the real math behind getting there. It all comes down to just 1%. If you can improve your habits, your knowledge, or your savings by literally just 1% every single day, those tiny improvements add up to massive, compounding changes over time. You don't have to overhaul your entire life by tomorrow morning. You just need to make a 1% shift in the right direction. Money comes and goes, right? Skills stay with you. But your habits are the things that actually shape your future. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. Which lesson from today surprised you the most? And more importantly, which one are you going to start applying today? Seriously, don't try to do everything all at once. Pick just one single habit from this explainer, apply it consistently, and then move on to build the next one. Thank you guys so much for joining me to decode the millionaire mindset. Take that very first step today, and I absolutely cannot wait to explore our next topic with you soon.